Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brandon, your trusted realtor, and I'm coming to you with another great episode. Today, I want to spend a little bit of time talking to you about DC housing and the DC housing market. Specifically, I want to talk to you not what the housing market is doing, but rather I want to talk to you about getting into the DC housing market and a way and an opportunity for you to do that. It should come as no surprise that in DC, the national average, or the median home price in DC is almost 2.5 times that of the nation. That means that any place else in the country, you're going to be looking at a median home price of about $240,000. In DC, we're finding that the median home price is closer to Hey guys, now if you haven't done so already, real quick, go ahead and hit that like, notification, and subscription button because that really helps out the channel, blows up the algorithm, and make sure that people in the ecosystem is getting all this information. Thank you. Median home prices closer to $600,000. And in fact, just depending on the quarter that you're looking at, that price is higher. I note that here in an article that I just wrote, that in Q3 of 2020, the median home price is $675,000, with the average sale of homes in the Washington, D.C. area for Q3 being over $750,000. A significant chunk of change, and really a psychological barrier for anyone who feels like they want to get into a home or get into a property. Once you begin to digest this, especially if you're a DC native or someone who's been in here for more than a handful of years, you realize that home values are significant. Not only do you realize that you're paying for everything and a premium for everything, you're paying a premium for parking, you're paying a premium for space, you're paying a premium for happy hours and cocktails, but you're also paying a premium for living. And that, whether that's renting, and you realize that here in DC, the average cost of rent a property is closer to $2,200, or you're buying a property and you're finding that when you begin to do searches, if you want to live in Ward 5 or you want to live Northwest or in Uptown DC, you're finding that that median home price is well over $500,000. And many people are gagging when they begin to look at that price tag, that sticker, and the amount of money it's potentially going to cost. But they don't even allow themselves to get to the state where they see the numbers before them. Rather, it's an out of sight, out of mind. It's the thought that if just looking at these numbers on the surface, I can't do it, I'm not even in this rat race, and people count themselves out. The power of this is that DC has created opportunities and a program that helps anyone, whether you're a DC resident or not, and you want to live in DC, they created an opportunity and a pathway to home ownership for those individuals that want to live in DC. This particular program is DC Open Doors, and it is a phenomenal program here that allows individuals that want to live in the region to have access to closing costs or down payment assistance via a repayable down payment assistance loan. Now, for many of you who prior to 2019 used this DC Open Doors program, you can attest to the power of this program. And namely, one of the more powerful points of this program was that it was not repayable. That's right. It was a loan that you got and you did not have to pay it back. It reduced in value by 20% each year over 5 years. Well, because of the popularity of the program, the number of individuals that have been leveraging it in the background, whether or not you realize it or not, the DC Housing and Financing Agency has, or at least the DC Council, whoever the authority is that made the decision, has now made this loan repayable. That means that at the time that the loan ends, whether you refinance the loan or you pay the loan off after 30 years. At the time the loan ends, you have to repay back the amount of the down payment, but it's a amortized. I do not know why I cannot say that. It's a non-amortized loan. This is going to be hilarious when I play this back. It is a non-amortized loan. There we go. And so you do not have to pay it back or pay any interest on this loan monthly. That was just funny. I could not say that for the life of me. Now, let's talk about qualifications for the program and what it looks like. Many individuals, I need to make this a very clear point. DC does not give you the money to get into a home. In fact, you still have to meet the minimum qualifications with a lender. Your lender is going to be the one who actually is the bank. They're going to be the ones with the money, with the coin, with all that you need in order to get the property. They also will underwrite this part of the loan or the process with DC and complete the application for you. So really all you need to do is have the information in hand, because you've listened to this channel, you've gone to my article and you've read it, and now you are empowered with this knowledge. So even if you choose not to work with me, which would be unfortunate, whomever you work with, you now have this information so you can go forward and give them direction on how you're going to access the money that you need. And if that realtor doesn't have that information, or you're working with a lender who doesn't know, then you probably should come back to me or come to me. Now, let's talk about the minimum requirements for this particular program. You have to have a minimum credit score of 640. I always tell people that if you're able to qualify for a loan minimally, and especially in these heightened environments with COVID-19, there's increase in heightened underwriting and credit standards, you're more than likely going to qualify with and have a higher credit score than 640. So if you qualify for the loan, i.e. the money to get the house, then you should qualify for the down payment and closing cost assistance, or the down payment assistance loan that's offered by DC Open Doors. Now, the maximum amount or the maximum income that a person can have is $151,200. That means that you can't make over that amount, but that amount does not apply to the household. So let's say you're in a relationship, it's a husband, a wife and a wife for traditional marriage. The whole household's income is not counted. Only the individual that is buying the property. Now, some of you who are in a relationship may be saying, well, I want both of our names to be on the property. Well, that's a video for another discussion. Both your names can be on the note. It just doesn't have to be, or both of your names can be on the deed. It just doesn't have to be on the note. That means that you don't have to be, you can still have ownership interest or equitable ownership interest. And you also have that if you otherwise choose in the future, after you buy the property, to jointly divide the property so you have joint interest, right? So there's ways to get around. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So you shouldn't fret about that if you're if it's a coupleship, or even if it's an entanglement. Like, there's still an opportunity there for you to make sure that you're protecting your interest if you're involved. The program also requires that you have a minimum debt to income ratio of 50%. Now, I tell individuals that this is a significantly high debt to income ratio. And in fact, FHA requires that you have a minimum debt to income ratio of 45%. And then most lenders are going to be looking at anywhere from probably 35 to 45% as well, in order to really minimize the amount of risk. Remember, the name of the game is not, oh, I minimally qualify for a loan. The name of the game is, how much of a risk are you to someone who is going to give you that money? Think about this in a micro concept. If you have repeatedly had that one family member that asks you for money, but they never pay it back to you, or they pay it back when they choose to pay it back, or they pay back a portion of it, how likely are you to give them money when they say, hey, it's really an emergency, I need a large sum of money, etc.? Probably not very likely. That same rationale that you use in order to discern whether or not you're going to give people money is the 10,000-foot way that a lender evaluates whether or not they're going to lend you money. Another aspect of the DC Open Doors program is that the maximum first loan that they will make is $484,350. So that means that is the maximum amount of the first loan that they will provide the down payment assistance for. But if you have a house that you found that's $600,000, you can pay the $116,000 difference, whatever that is, to the bank in order to make up the amount. They'll still provide the down payment assistance for all the monies up to $484,350. And so that's significant because it creates an opportunity for you to really be competitive in this housing market. Now, I will tell you, if you listen to the first part of this video, you see that the median average home is in DC is closer to $650,000. Or the median price for homes in DC is $650,000, but that is not carte blanche. Not every property is going to be starting at $600,000. There is opportunity to get into the market. The question is, how long does that opportunity exist? And that is not a question I can answer for you, but what I can tell you is that DC does a whole lot. They ticket us, but what they're not doing is there's no creation of any new land, and they always seem to go up in value. So you got to make the decision. One of the other tenets of this DC Open Doors program is that it allows for the different types of property ownership. That means that you can not only buy a townhouse or a condo, but you can also buy a detached home. And more importantly, if you're an individual who is looking and you've had this realization of the power of home ownership, and you've been maybe listening to other podcasts and other individuals who talk about house hacking, and you want to be able to leverage that, then this program allows you to buy a 2 or 4 bedroom property, and then you can rent out the other spaces in that property while living in one of them. So now you have a home that is your home, and it's also income producing. If you live in DC, you know that DC has their fair share of multi-unit apartments or 4-unit buildings. One of the things that you may be asking yourself is, well, yeah, if I get a 4-unit building, most of those 4-unit buildings are like over the $400,000 that you're asking for, or if you're on my end, you've seen that most of these are in auctions. Well, there's a way around that. There's a way to skin that cat, because, and I'll save this for a different video, but you can also have a reconstruction loan that allows you to get into the property and then make improvements over a period of time, a short period of time. So I feel like the proverbial handwriting is on the wall. I don't have to tell you that that interest rates are at a historical low, because we've talked about that and you've seen that in the market and the ecosystem. Right now, the decision is whether or not it's the right time for you as an individual to actually get into the market and to purchase a home. DC Open Doors is a phenomenal program. It is a simple program. It is straightforward, and it provides you access to not only use down payment assistance to get into a home and fill that gap, but if you're a DC employee, there's a host of other programs that you are allowed to tack onto this program, like the Employee Assistance Home Purchase Program, that will make this so much more powerful for you. So at the end of the day, don't dally and don't question whether or not you're eligible to purchase a home. Talk to a professional like myself who can connect you with a lending or mortgage professional, so that way you can really tease that out. And guess what? Even if you're not qualified today to buy a house, you have the information that you need in order to move forward with a successful plan and strategy. The name of the game is getting there, and you can't get there without starting. I always tell people, no one ever got married without having a first date. So remember that. Remember, I'm Brandon, your trusted realtor. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. And I look forward to being your resource for all of your real estate needs. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.